Okay, hey guys, I'm going to show you guys how to set up your first workspace for our first project of the Rhino wheel. So, um, first thing you can do is open up Rhino, and I'm just going to quickly change this to what you're probably going to see here, and then I'll go back. Okay, so your screen is going to look like this. And turn this off. Okay, this is what your screen is going to look like. Sorry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn Smart Track off. Okay, I'll show you about Smart Track later, but you don't want it highlighted yet. And you're going to want OSnap, which stands for Object Snaps, on, and you should see these. Okay, and then you're going to want your Grid Snap on. So what Grid Snap allows you to do is when it's on, I could snap along the grid snap setting that I set in the options, in the grid settings. Okay, so here it's I don't know what it is, but it's metric. It's like every quarter millimeter maybe. And then if I turn it off, I can move my mouse anywhere to create lines. Okay, turn it back on. I can only click on the grid settings. Okay, turn it off. I can go anywhere. Okay, so grid is helpful to make accurate objects. Grid snap is helpful, and then when it's off, it allows you to get really, you can go anywhere you want. So I'm just going to right click, select this. Yellow is selection color. Hit the delete key on the keyboard. All right, so we turned off Smart Track. We turned on Object Snaps. We're going to toggle between having Grid Snap on and off for this project. But now we got to change the units. So two ways you can do that. The way I used to do it was Tools, Options, and then we're going to click on Units. Where's Units? Right here. Okay, and you can go and access this screen. Okay, you can also do it this way. Just right-click on millimeters. And go to unit settings, and then it brings it up. Okay, so we're going to work in inches. So I'm going to go to inches, and our absolute tolerance means how accurate our model is going to be. This is going to be 1,000th of an inch. By the way, if you were to look at this, we could model in nanometers, light years, if we were modeling our own galaxy. Okay, and every unit in between, miles. Okay, I use feet when I'm like doing landscape design. Okay, so we're gonna again be modeling in inches, and our absolute tolerance is going to be 1,000th of an inch, and our display, what we see here, is going to match that to be 1,000th of an inch accurate. So I'm just going to hit OK. Okay, you may get a message, RhinoCam or this. I have nothing drawn here, so I'm just going to say yes. Okay, there we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Model units have changed, removing all CAM plugin data. Okay. By the way, some of you may open up Rhino for the first time and see this on your screens. You can close out RhinoCam. So just X out of this and then X out of this if your screen looks like that. Okay. So now I want to set my grid spacing. Okay, because I still don't know what this grid is set to. So you can right click on Grid Snap and go to Settings, and that will bring you to the grid settings. Okay, or you can go to Tools, Options, and then click on the word Grid. So we're going to do 200 grid lines. Okay, so a total of 200 lines from the origin out. Minor grid lines are these light gray grid lines. We're going to set them to be at every quarter of an inch. Major lines are going to be the dark gray grid lines. We'll do every 4 of them. So 1/4, 2/4, a half, 3/4, 4/4 is another inch. So that works. And then for this project, I'm going to make my snap spacing a quarter of an inch also. So I'm going to hit OK. So now with Grid Snap on, when I go to model, okay, I can only snap at every quarter of an inch. Grid Snap off, I can go anywhere. grid snap-on every 1/4 of an inch. So it helps you with making straight lines and accurate lines. Okay, I'm just going to hit escape to get out of this command. Okay, so now that we set our units in our grid, this is when I like to save. So I'm going to click File, Save As, and this is going to bring me to the, your screen's going to look a little bit different, but what I want you to do is over here, you're going to click on this PC, and then you're going to click on your network folder. Okay, I have a subfolder. You're going to create a new CAD folder. So you're going to click on new folder, and you're going to create a new CAD folder. I'm just going to call this Delete Me. I'm not going to use it, okay? But I'm going to go into my CAD folder that I already made. And then I actually have another subfolder. You don't need one, but it's called Rhino Drawings. And I actually have another subfolder called Car Rim, okay? And in your CAD folder, I want you to create a new folder called Wheel or Car Rim, and then you're going to save your file. Okay? So I'm going to call this Wheel 20-21 for this academic year, and just hit save. You'll see up here it says File Successfully Written, and it has the path. Okay, so it's in my network folder, CAD, Rhino Drawings, Car Rim, and then it's called Wheel 2021. Okay, so whenever you do some work, I always like to recommend just hit the Save button right here, and it'll just give you that a file is successfully written. I don't know what that is right there, but it should just be okay. All right, so let's start the wheel. Okay, so we're making this wheel right here. Okay, this is the wheel we'll be making. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm toggling through different viewport settings. So if I double click on perspective, okay, it maximizes the view. If I double click on it again, it brings me back to the default 4 views. This is the shaded display. It matches, if I click over here on my layers, it matches with the layer colors that I have. I have a layer for curves. So the curves that make this up, I hid them. So I click on the light bulb and I could see them all, okay? And then I could hide them. The wide spokes I could turn on and off. Okay, the spoke surfaces I could turn on and off. The lug nuts, same thing. And the valve stem. It looks like the valve stem is, I don't know why there's 2 here, but it's, the valve stem is, by mistake, got put into the lug nut layer. Okay, it shouldn't be. It should be in the valve stem layer. But anyway, this is the shaded display. If I right-click on perspective, I go to a wireframe display where I just see everything as a wireframe. Okay, and then I can go into a render display where I have already added some light and material properties. So this just gives me a preview, black tire. Don't really know what color outer rim this is. I don't think I applied material yet to this. Okay. Then you have ghosted, allows you to see through the object. Okay. X-ray is a little bit more detailed. It's like wireframe and shaded together. Okay. And then a fun one is, well, technical is solid lines or visual edges, and then hidden lines for hidden edges. I don't really use that one too often, but artistic is cool. I like the artistic. Okay, it's kind of cool to look at. And then they have related to artistic. Again, I'm right-clicking on perspective. I'm going to pen. And pen is pretty cool too. Okay, so we're making this wheel. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with, I call these the spider spokes. Okay, these spokes right here. So I'll go back into my shaded display. And what we're going to do is we're going to create this curve as the main primary curve that everything else is going to be built around. Okay, so this shape right here, we're gonna make this, and then we're going to start building this. So I'm going to go back to my wheel. So I like to manage my space sometimes when I model. So I'm gonna kind of get a ballpark of the size wheel or rim I want to use. Let's say I'm going to do a 17-inch wheel. So I'm going to take the circle tool here, and it says, I click on it, it says, what's the center of the circle? So the center of the circle with grid snap on is going to be the origin in my front view. Okay, now this is a little bit, for this purpose, I would like to see more of my front view, so I'm going to double click on it to maximize it, and now I can really see it well. So I want to do a diameter of 17 inches. Now I could just move my mouse over and I'll look down here and it'll tell me this number right over here. It'll tell me what the diameter is, okay? I could also just type in 17. You guys the default may be in the radius setting. So you may see radius. You're like, well, 17 would be, 17 diameter would be half of that would be the radius. So that would be 6.5. But you can just also click on the word diameter and then say, I want to do a 17-inch diameter circle. So I'm just going to type in 17. Okay, I do not need to click up here in the command line. You can just type in and then hit enter. There's my 17-inch diameter. Okay. If you're ever curious to double check, these are the dimension tools here. If you click and hold down on them, linear dimensions, radius dimension, diameter dimension. I'm just going to click on that. It says select curve for diameter dimension. And it tells me right here, it's a 17-inch diameter. I could click on it and delete it, or I could use the undo button and get rid of it. Okay. Another feature, you can, I believe it's called what. You just type in what, and it tells you this is a curve, and it tells you all this information about it. Right here, it tells you the diameter is the radius is 8.5 inches. It doesn't tell you the diameter. Okay, so, but I like to use the dimension tool. So I've got this construction line to help guide the size of my wheel. Now I'm going to make that first curve. Okay, so I need to be aware of that. I need to leave some space in the middle for the lug nuts. Okay, and this kind of hub mounting surface here. Okay, this flat area. This is a weird double layer wheel, but it really reinforces the commands we're going to be using. So I have seen this wheel once. I saw it on like a old Mitsubishi Eclipse that somebody had kind of like tricked out, but it is a real wheel. I have seen it. So let's get this first curve. So to do that, I'm going to click and hold down on the curve tool or control point curve tool. I'm going to go to the conic curve. Okay, I'm going to left click on it. So I'm going to left click on it. So now the conic curve, it tells me how do you want to start the conic. Okay, like where do you want to start it? By the way, you can click on the help function, and sometimes it works. It says, all right, what command are you in? And you can play a quick little video. Whoop, see, it didn't want to work. So I'm gonna, but it tells you a little bit of how to do it. Okay, so conic curve. Okay, by the way, I'm gonna go back to my object properties here. Okay, back. We're back. So I'm going to hit escape because that was a little confusing. Escape. Okay, and then now I'm going to go back and go to conic curve. All right, so where am I going to start this conic curve? I'm going to start it about, I want to do 3 inches up and a little bit outside of my circle. Okay, end of conic curve up here. I'm going to do 3 inches down and straight down. Okay, so this is why grid snap is very important, because if you got this crooked, it would be weird. Okay, and then now it says, where's your apex? So I will go, I'm going to say like right about here, and I'll show you why. And it says, what's your curvature point? This is now where you're going to bring in that conic curve. So I want at least 4 inches So I could do like 4 1/4. So this is one. This one's kind of wide. Okay. So again, a little trial and error. I'm going to do it again. Now I could go back and click on this conic curve. What I could also do is just right click. And right clicking will repeat the last command. So it says start of conic. Okay, so I'm going to now do 2 inches. And 2 inches down. And then I'm going to pull this one in pretty far like this. And now this time I'm going to go end at the same spot. Okay, so I actually like this narrower one. I'm going to click on this one and delete it. Okay. All right, so I've got this curve. Now I need to make another one that is right around here. Okay, and that is going to create this edge. You can imagine it continuing around right here. Okay, so I could try to just do another conic curve and say I'm going to go like this and like this, and then guess where it's supposed to go, and then pull it in. Okay, now, you know that could work. It adds a nice kind of detail, but it's wide here, then it gets thinner here. So at least that you could leave this, but in the tutorial, I'm going to actually activate an additional layer here and change the color to a true red. Okay, so I'm going to show you the, so I put a check mark in layer 1. I was currently working in default layer, the black one. I want to show you how they do it in the tutorial. So they do what's called an offsetted curve. This is a cool tool. It's a very cool tool. So I'm going to do curve, offset curve, offset curve. Okay. And it says select curve to offset. The current distance is 1.5 inches. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I'm going to offset this curve, but that looks way too far, that 1.5 inches. Okay. I would change it to 1 inch or 0.75 inches, depending. So I'm going to do 1 inch. I'm going to offset it. Okay. So I'm going to take this curve and I'm going to delete it. And I think it looks good. It looks a little bit wide. Okay. I don't like how wide that is. So I'm just going to undo my deletion and undo my offset curve. Okay. I think I'm already going to delete this one. And again, I'll do curve, offset curve, offset curve. I'll change the distance to 0.75, enter. It's still asking me, select the curve you want to offset. I want to offset it outwards, not inwards, outwards. Okay? So that looks good. So I was doing this for illustrative purposes, so you could see the difference between just making another curve or offsetting it. So offsetting allows for it to be 3/4 of an inch all the way around. Okay. Now, we were going to get into layers later, but since I kind of showed you, if you wanted to start working in layers, which you don't need to at this moment, okay, what you do is you can create new layers. Okay, so I could say this is going to be my curve layer. Okay, and I want my curve layer to be black. Okay, or actually, let's do this. I'm going to delete this layer. Okay, I'm going to rename my default layer curves. Okay, and I'm going to click on this object, and it's currently red, right? See, it's red. It's in layer 1. Well, I want to put it into my curve layer because it's part of my curves. So if I go to here, this is the object properties. If I click on this, while it's selected, it tells me that this is an open curve and its current layer is layer 1. I want to move it into my curve layer. Now it's in that layer, okay? So you have your layers where you can, hide them, show them. This layer 1 is still active. I'm going to reactivate my curve layer. So now everything that I do is going to be in curves, okay? So now what we have to do is we have to trim this curve, this outer curve down, and it's going to make it so that we can then start building the rest of our spokes. So we're going to take a polyline, and again, I'm going to go about 2¼ inches out. I'm going to make a line straight down here. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Okay. So I made a polyline just straight through both sections of this offsetted curve. And now I'm going to trim this section off. So new tool, it's called trim. Okay, it's right here. This is split. Okay, so I want to show you trim. So with nothing selected, I like to start, I'm going to hit escape to do this again. I like to start trim when there's nothing selected in the beginning of the year. So trim. Now it says select cutting objects. So the way trim works is it says, what object do you want to act as the knife? So if I'm trimming this off, I want this curve to be the cutting object. So I click on it. Okay, now you have to be careful. Because now it says, are you done selecting your cutting objects? Because honestly, I could click on a bunch of other things and do a complex trim. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm done. So press enter. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, now it says select objects to trim. So I want to trim this. Okay, there could have been other things that I needed to trim also. It doesn't know that. So again, it says, are you done? And I say, yeah. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so that is trim. Now, I don't like deleting curves, but for cutting lines, okay, a simple cutting line like this, I will delete it. Usually I keep them in like another layer. Okay, so I'll say like, curves 2 or old curves or trimming curves, and you could just kind of keep stuff. Because once it's gone and you save it, it's gone forever. Like there's no like place where it's stored. All right, so I have this, okay, and I think I did pretty good so far. I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now it says file successfully written. So I saved this, okay, in case we lose power or something like that. And I think the last thing I'm going to do today is to show you guys how to get this shape all the way around. Okay, so we need to copy this in a circular fashion to make the spokes. So that command is called a polar array. I believe it's located in 2 places. If I click and hold down on this tool, this is the move tool, by the way, right here, move. Okay, if I click and hold down on it, it's right here, polar array. Okay, I believe it may be here also. Yep, it's over here, polar array. And then believe it or not, it's under transform, array, polar. Okay, so they try to really get redundant, so whichever way you want to work. So I like to go to move, polar array, and it says select objects to array. I want to array these 3 curves, 1, 2, 3, okay? Press enter when done, hit enter. What's the center of your polar array? Remember, grid snap has to be on. If you don't have it on, you're not going to get your center. My center is right here, okay? Now it says, how many items do you want? How many spokes do you want? Well, I would do a, definitely, very rare to see a car with 4 spokes. Okay, so if I typed in 4, okay, and I hit enter, now I get this weird handle. It's saying angle to fill or first reference point. Then in brackets, it says it's going to fill it at 360 degrees. And what's nice also, it's got the preview is going to be yes. So if it doesn't say 360, you have to type in 360. A lot of you sometimes click here by mistake. Okay, you have to polar array for a full 360 so that this array goes all the way around the wheel. Okay, you could imagine if I was like doing like a woodworking project and I wanted it to be like a sundial. Okay, I would only array from 0 to 180 degrees. Okay, so but here I'm doing a full 360. So 360, I'm going to hit enter. That's the preview. That's what 4 spokes looks like. It doesn't look good. Okay, so I want to change the items to say 5, and then I'm going to hit enter. Okay, that looks good. I'm curious what 6 would look like. Too busy. I don't like it. So I'm going to go back to 5, enter, and then it says press enter to accept. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, I guess we have time for one last thing that we're going to do is we're going to blend these. Okay, we have to close this off. So there's a lot of different ways. In CAD, just like building something, some people use nails to assemble something. Some people use screws to assemble something. Some people use hand tools to cut something. Some people use saws or CNC routers. It's a toolbox. These are all tools. There's many different ways to do the same thing. And they may be similar, or they may be slightly different, or they may be identical, like the end result. So how can I connect these? Okay, you're not going to want to do a control point curve. Okay, now first off, how do we get onto the end of this curve? I should turn on my endpoint snap here and go like that. And if I were to try to do a control point curve, okay, believe it or not, there's a little bump right there, and there's a bump over here. This is not a good design. Okay, so that's no good. Okay, maybe I could do a circle diameter here. So it's going to say start of diameter, endpoint snap, end of diameter. Okay, now I still have this little bump here. Okay, like if I was to trim this, select cutting objects, this and this, enter objects to trim is this. You can see it's a little bit of a bump here. It's no good. Okay, so at least in this tutorial, what they tell you to do is to do a curve blend curve, which is a great tool. So it's curve, blend curve, and I like to do a quick curve blend. Okay, so that was under curve, blend curve, quick curve blend. So select first curve to blend, select it near its end. So you have to select it on this end. If you select it up here, you're going to try to be blending this end to this end. It'll go like this, here to here. You get this big zigzag. Okay, we don't want that. So I'm going to right click to repeat the command. Okay, so curve, quick curve blend. Select curve to blend near its end. I'm going to do this one, it flashed, and then this one. Now that's nice. Okay. Way back, they used to do this one here, but I'm not a big fan of this. It's curve, blend curve, adjustable curve blend. Okay, here and here, and then now I could actually tweak it with these control points. I could say I want this one here, and then I want this one here, and you can kind of tweak it, but it's up to you. Any blend curve will work, right? So this is good. It's still smooth, it's not fully symmetrical. So I'm going to undo that, and again, just do a quick curve blend. So curve, blend curve, quick curve blend, 1, 2, and I'm satisfied with that. Okay, how can I get this all the way around? Now I could just right click, quick curve blend, boom, boom, right click, and just do that. It's a little bit annoying and tedious. I'm going to undo and undo. What if I were to just polar array this? So polar array, select objects to array, this, enter. Center of polar array is the origin. Number of items, it will remember your last setting. So here I had 5 spokes, 5 items to polar array. Okay, angle to fill 360 degrees, sounds good to me. I don't click on this. I see this handle, I just hit enter. And then now I can say, is it good? Yes, it is. I'm going to accept. Okay, so now we have all these curves, these individual curves, but these are an issue. These 3 pieces that are touching each other, they have to be one open curve like this. We want it to be one open curve. Because if we try to build things with individual segments, then it will then build one surface, two surface, three surface. We want it to make one big surface. So what I'm going to do is use this tool, the join tool. Now, join works like this. You could just go like this, 1, 2, 3. Okay, those are the 3 I want to join, and then hit enter, and it tells you 3 curves join into one open curve. That's tedious. What I like to just do, join is kind of a smart tool. I like to just click on everything when it's kind of simple like this, and then hit join. And when there's big discrepancies, like it kind of knows I'm not going to try to join this curve to this curve because they're not touching, and I'm definitely not going to be able to join this curve and this curve. So it says here joined 18 curves into 10 open curves, and when you click on them, they're all joined up. All right, guys, I think that's good for the first day. I am going to stop this video and then create a quiz for you guys, and I hope that was okay.